Hello one and all, this is Soulful Lordy, James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. This time around, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is a side-scrolling beat-em-up where you are able to play as one of the four turtles, Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, or Michelangelo, or April O'Neil, the reporter that everyone loves, Master Splinter, of course, their father and teacher, and even Casey Jones that you can unlock. Now, being a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, not only because of the movies, but because of the 1980s, 1990s television show, the cartoon, that made me a huge fan of the franchise, I was excited to see this ode to that era of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And one of the first things you notice about the game is the art presentation is so similar to the 90s cartoon show. There are the voice actors from the original show that do lend their talents, but it's not as grandiose as I would have expected it to be in terms of just celebrating what was one of the greatest cartoons of all time, at least in the last 40 years. But from a gameplay perspective, very similar to that time in that era, this feels very much like an old school 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. You go from one corner of a screen to another, beating up a variety of different enemies, and then eventually by the end of the level you have to take on a boss. Now, the types of maneuvers that you can pull off with specific characters are always unique, including my favorite, Raphael, being able to pull off a German suplex as a throw if you get close to an adversary. But beyond those unique traits, a majority of the gameplay is very similar to what you've seen in the past when it comes to this genre, including basic attacks with strikes depending on the character that you've chosen. You have to, of course, get close if you're playing with someone like Raphael or Michelangelo, or you can fight from far away with someone like Donatello. All characters can perform attacks from mid-air. They can also roll out of falls. You can perform taunts that actually help fill up that special meter bar. Thanks to the meter above their health meter that fills up, you can hit the button to unleash a special attack that, unlike Streets of Rage, doesn't deplete your health if you utilize it, but it does take a while to recharge. And you can also help your ally. You can revive them when they're down if the timer doesn't run out above their head and they lose a life. And of course, if they don't have any lives when the timer does run out, they're out of the game. You can also utilize your health to give someone else some health. So if a character is low on health and you have a lot of health, go over to that character, high-five them, and you can give them some of your health. Now, when it comes to the gameplay, as frenetic and as fun as the overall gameplay is, as it is with most really good 2D beat-em-up side-scrollers, there is one big problem with this game that I personally have, and that is when you're actually playing online with up to 6 players. It can become so chaotic that it's hard to see where, especially if you're playing as a turtle, where your character is. And maybe that's just a me problem. I will say I haven't seen too many complaints about it across the board, but for me personally, there were several times when I was trying to get into a fray, trying to get into a fight, and I lost track of where Raphael was. I lost track of where my character was, and then next thing you know, either I'm getting hit or I'm not hitting anything. I'm just hitting air and not contributing to the team. But as of this time, when it comes to playing online, and I will preface this by saying playing online, finding people to play with, really good, really smooth, didn't have really any problems, though there were a few disconnects when it came to other players. But a majority of the time, it was very easy to get into a game. It was easy to keep a team together. From a mode perspective, there are only really 2 modes as of this time. There is the story mode that is pretty much as you would expect the story mode. You just run through the story. And then there's arcade mode, which is essentially story mode, but presented in an arcade fashion with limited lives, the lack of revivals, and no save states. So wherever you die, you have to start at the beginning if you want to replay that mode. Overall, Shredder's Revenge is a great return to form for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video games. If you enjoy these type of games, if you enjoy these side-scrolling beat-em-ups, this is the perfect game for you, especially if you're a TMNT fan. If you're on the fence about it, if the price looks a little too high, but you do have Game Pass, either on PC or on Xbox, this is your opportunity to play it for free check it out, see if it's the game for you, and then if you do feel like it's a really good game, I suggest throwing some money to the way of the developers. They have created a pretty good homage to one of the greatest franchises of the last 50 years. Yeah, I said 40 earlier, but now I'm saying 50 years. And next time I'm going to say 100 years. So there you have it. This has been Soulful Lordy. James Bullock, once again with another video game first impressions. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Now if you don't mind, I have to go back and try to do better on these highway missions because I've always been terrible at them. I was terrible as a kid, I'm still terrible now because I have to step up and prove that I picked the best turtle in Raphael. And if I don't, and I die on these streets, I guess I'll have no choice but to say, oh lordy.